welcome in. This is a very, very different reading. Very, very, very different reading. It might go the same, but the intent, the energy is going to be very different. So we're going to begin with the Sacred Symbols Oracle. Okay. And we're going to see what this message is about real quick. The new moon. So there's something about this new moon energy. The new moon, I should say, not the old one. But it's about December the 1st. There's a lot that's going to be happening from now until December the 1st. The chance to use the key that you have is coming up. And you all, some of y'all have homework. The rest of y'all, yeah, I don't know. For the rest of y'all, I don't know. But for the ones that know, there's some homework that needs to be done. There's a lot of shift. There's a lot of shifts that have been happening that people have been going through. And it's time for those who are ready to step into the power that they're supposed to be in. And for the ones that aren't ready, you know, it's whatever. But it's time to release your magic. Release what you're here to do. It is very much time to step into the role that you have been given and remember who you are. You've done a lot of clearing, a lot of cutting, and a lot of clearing out of old stories that are leading you into this new life where you step into your full power. So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit in this reading, is stepping into the full power of yourself, stepping into the true nature of who you are and not backing down. For some of you, you've stepped into bits and pieces of what you're supposed to do, but there's things that you're afraid to fully endeavor on. And that's what needs to be released, is that fear too. And you might say it's not fear and that you just don't want to, but it roots from fear. Anything that stops you from doing anything is rooted from fear. So to ignore and to say that you're not scared and to ignore that root emotion that is behind, yeah, it's time to really acknowledge this, y'all. But for you to ignore that feeling and say that it's not fear is ludicrous at this point, because you know it's fear. It's fear that you won't be good enough. It's fear of you not living up to the part. It's fear that you don't know what you're doing. It's fear of looking a certain way. And your belief systems have allowed that fear to happen due to negative connotations to words that you have held boundaries on and to for so long. So it's time for you to change your vocabulary. Learn words. Learn what they actually mean, not what people want them to mean, not what your ego, and your ego is the one that makes all the decisions, by the way. Not what your ego wants you to believe, but what the truth is, because we're entering in the age of truth, and the next 20 years, really, like the next 20 years for sure, but we're talking about these next 4 years mainly, are going to really be strugglesome for you if you still have those limiting beliefs where you're not able to step truly into your power. Because after all, this world is only mental, and if you really decide to think of something being negative or not yours, then it simply won't be, because this is the year of healing, where you're true to yourself. And if you continue to lie to yourself in the year of healing, it's only going to backlash and hit you harder. And it's going to make you realize even more that the distractions around you have become what you're giving your attention to rather than yourself. So it's very important from now on, really and truly, to just focus on you, on the truth of you and not the belief system that you've been indoctrinated into for the past, 6,000 years, 1,500-ish years, if you really want to talk about it. But it's time to get serious about who you are and what you're here to do. Most of you know who you are and what you're supposed to do, and the rest of you are still figuring that out. And if you're still figuring that out, it's time to study. If you don't know the answer to a question and you don't get the answer from the teacher, it's because you need to study. It's because even if the teacher were to give you the answer, you would only come up with more problems that need solutions. So if you're confused about what you're supposed to be doing, hit the books. Start studying, look up information. Go get mentors who are teaching things that you desire to know. For a long time, people have been in the Emperor reverse energy. And we know that's Aries, but it's something about your fire that hasn't been nurtured. It's this mature fire that you have that you don't kindle. And it's almost like you're scared to. I mean, again, it comes from the fear, so of course it's fear like that, but it's because you're not listening to your intuition. There's still doubts of what you should be doing. There's still fears of, oh, if I do this, what if this other thing doesn't come in? And it's because you're not listening to your intuition. A lot of you all need to work on your chakras and meditate. And when you say that you can't, there are ways to meditate that don't involve the one way that you're having a problem with. Don't succumb to one thing, because one is imaginary. There is no such thing as one, and we all know this by now. And there's really no such thing as two, because there's two in you, and you are two, if you want to get down and dirty with it. You're really three. That's the whole me, myself, and I funniness. And then you and yourself is what you see in other people. So you see you and yourself, your devil, which is you, and yourself, which is your angel. You, the mind, the mental, are the one that keeps you from doing things, and yourself is what people see in you, but you're not being, but they can definitely pick that up, all right? We have the World reverse and the Four of Pentacles reverse. And again, this is like not listening to your intuition, not allowing the manifestation cycle to go through. A lot of you all struggle with the Aquarius phase of manifestation, which is why we're in the age of Aquarius, is to help a lot of people out that way as well. But the Aquarius is the sword, it's the man, right? A lot of you all make it past Leo, which is the fire, which is the idea. You get that, and then you go to Scorpio, which is the Phoenix. And you get to the Phoenix, and you're going to your solar plexus, your sacral. You're getting the energy, you're getting the how-to, you're getting the emotional response that you need, the feeling response, not the emotional response, excuse me. You're getting the feeling that you need to be able to respond. And then you get to the Aquarius phase, and I see a lot of people get stuck on this phase. We're going to talk about it. And the Aquarius phase is literally just your mind. It hits your mind, that feeling that you don't even really feel, because you're so worried about how this is going to be working. You jump from the wands to the swords immediately. You jump from the divine facing you with an idea to, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Or I can't do this. Or jumping immediately, ignoring the feeling, and then like, this isn't right. And then going with your emotion, which your mind makes, which tricks you into thinking that you're feeling something, but you're not. Because you're not feeling that other thing. The other thing isn't real. You make it real. That's the ego. That's the God within you creating an outcome. And the only reason why the God in you is creating those outcomes is because you yourself have not realized or tapped into that source, that force that's inside of you, to really stand 10 toes down. And that leads you to the Four of Pentacles, where you tend to let go. You just give up on the physical. It's something else. You let go of you stopping yourself. And then, it's this. It's that. People are doing this. People are doing that. But you're told how to solve this solution. But you don't. And it's a lot to do with the bravery. It's a lot to do with the negativity that you end up encompassing or digesting that's around you. It could be from songs, from media, from watching too many readings, from not paying attention to yourself. This negativity also roots from you not taking care of yourself, not giving yourself that time of silence, taking those times to meditate, taking those cat naps that you need, taking the time off that you desire, and thinking that you can't due to circumstances that are around you. Now, those circumstances are just Saturn. Those circumstances are not going to go away no matter what. A lot of people think that money would solve all their issues. It would not. It would bring more issues. The reason why you have not received that income is because there's this lack of self-love that you're giving yourself. There's a need to do something, but you're stopping yourself. And this is why this manifestation isn't coming true. This is why you're not feeling like you're able to rule certain areas, certain energies around you. And it's because you're lacking that control in yourself. Again, like we tell when we do these readings, and not even just me, but other people, they'll even say like, how do you expect to control someone else if you can't control you, right? Same applies for you. How can you control your outside environments if you cannot control yourself? Controlling yourself doesn't mean sitting and being passive. Controlling yourself means being active and deliberately active in what you desire to be the outcome. And there's this letting go of that. Oh, I'll give it to the divine. Oh, I'm going to give it to God, and God's going to do something to it. God's not going to do anything with it. The divine's not going to do anything with it because they gave it to you so that you can meet them halfway, because it's something you need to solve. And this is a big issue with spirituality. This is a big issue with religion. Everyone goes, oh, I'm going to give it to God, and then nothing happens. Because when you give it to God, God's giving you the idea to do something. And, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And God will just let you sit there and say that you can't, and hex and curse yourself in that regard. Because you have released all control of the control that you've been asking for. Oh, I don't want this to happen in my life anymore, where you're asking for something that you can control. You're asking for control of something in your life so that you can prevent it. But you refuse to take the offerings, you refuse to take the advice that's given due to a disbelief, due to a lack of listening to your intuition, due to a regard of who you are, the creator of your reality. And if you give your power, doesn't matter if it's to flesh or to spirit, if you give that power to another entity, it will do with it as it pleases. The angelic forces, or however, can't do anything without your permission. Same goes for the dynamic forces. No one can do anything unless you allow it to truly happen, which is what we try to teach over here a lot. But taking that control back is this main thing that we've all been working on. It's this main healing that we've all been working on. It's taking back who you are and ignoring the outside world. The outside world is created by you, for you, to help you move through it. But unfortunately, it also will hinder you due to a lack of understanding how the outside world works. We have the Eight of Pentacles, which was really looking after me the whole time there, so I'm not even surprised that it came out. We have the Eight of Pentacles after the Four of Pentacles. It's upright. It's the only thing upright. You've been hard at work, but what have you been working on? Is what you need to ask yourself. And a lot of times, because we end up in this spiritual ego trap that circulates over and over again, we do the work, but then we ask, why is nothing happening? Well, what have you been working on? And have you been focusing on that work, or have you been scattering your energy to multiple different things? The Eight of Pentacles represents due diligence, a lot of hard work, keeping down at it, allowing your mind to not be controlled by matter. Unfortunately, though, it's still a work in progress, because you're still hitting that one pinnacle. You're still looking at that one thing on the physical. You have all these achievements, but you feel like you're incomplete, which leaves you sticking to one little area that you don't need to necessarily focus on. You're trying to master your craft, but for what? You can't be a master and then enter at that lower level again. It's a continuous progress. Some of you all end up working on something and then dropping it because you feel like it's not necessary or it's no longer needed. And then it comes back around within times, within people or energies around you, and it causes you to get stuck again. And it's because you haven't necessarily worked through what needs to actually be worked through, which is this perfectionism energy, this I need to see another achievement and I need to hang it up on my wall before I'm able to move forward. It's this need to not distract the mind so much and to understand that when you work on something, it is a work in progress for eternity and not for that one time. Ideas will always flow to ideas because they are living, and they only live when you are living with them. They cannot exist on their own. They need that cooperation. The world is built off of two, not duality, but two. It's not an opposite of an opposite. It's two within one. And look at a coin. Look at literally any art within alchemy. Look in any art within life. We live in a 3D reality where we're able to see the full spectrum of things, but yet we still see things in 2D. And this leads you to the Ten of Swords, where you end up thinking that you can't do something because the one goal that you've hyper-focused on just doesn't work. And this is what the divine really wants you to stop worrying about. Because you put on this heroic cape, and you end up sacrificing your own light, your own dignity of yourself for a lost cause that doesn't necessarily matter. And it's because you built this importance of yourself up in your head and your mind. So understand that you are working on multiple things. You're not working on just one thing in life. You're working on yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. When you work on one, you work on all. When you have one element, you have all elements. And it's this hyper focus on one, on being single, on seeing one-sided ways, and that's not it. That's why you're stuck. That's why things aren't moving the way that you're desiring them to, but you allow them to happen and you sit in a comfort zone while waiting for something new to happen. Whenever God already said that He gives you His life, His breath, He made you in His image. You are God. When you pray to yourself to get the ideas. You talk to your higher self, your inner self. You talk to you. And these things that have made you, your ancestors, the spirits and souls around you respectfully, are the ones that give you those ideas, those solutions, the answers to those problems, the ideas that you ask for, but you still don't trust it. And this is what the divine really wants people to work on, is understanding that everything is heard, but you're not hearing yourself. You're forgetting that everything's a mirror. You're forgetting that you've created everything, every mishap, every magic attack that's been done to you. You've created that to be you. You have done that to yourself. You have manifested those types of peoples, those energies into your life to create those things because you have yet to realize that you have been treating yourself within that regard for so long that it becomes an issue. And when you say to yourself, I wish to heal, it then manifests on the physical. The mind, when you ask for something, nature will supply. When you ask for healing, it then creates all your internal problems as an external problem. And that's what not a lot of people don't like to hear, is that you've created these so-called monsters to be around you. And it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot, because you need to understand that you've done this. There is no other thing other than you. Everyone is a mirror of you to a degree greater or lesser. It is all you. Your limitations, your beliefs, your achievements, your failures, everything is all done to you. Well, for you, excuse me, not to you, but for you, so that you can learn and see what you've done. But the Six of Pentacles, it gets a sour taste. You don't think that it's fair or even. You see others achieve things that you can't. And then you compare their life, their stature, their being against yours, just as they do to others and others do to others as well. It's a very vicious cycle that people get stuck in. And it's because everyone's so focused on the outside rather than the inside. Focusing on chasing things or needing to attract things rather than realizing that they all come from within, and you don't need to chase or really attract. You just need to be. There's not a mystery or a hidden knowledge to connect to the frequency that you wish to be in. You just simply say that you wish to be in that frequency. You just declare that you are in alignment, that you are that frequency. And then you stay in it. That's all you do. There's no bibbity boppity that you can do. That's just the truth of how it is. But you are focused on the external. When you get that mindset, well, I get that mindset, but I just don't see how it's going to work. Well, there you go. You're not going to see how it's going to work now because you just don't see it. You're looking everywhere except for the one place where you need to look, which is within. Why don't you feel? Why can't you move forward? Why do you say that you can't and that it's impossible, or you disagree even? Because you wouldn't need to have a argumentative stance against the truth. You wouldn't need to tell yourself a lie if you already knew it was the truth. You wouldn't need to have a belief system if you already knew. A belief in something isn't solid. It's very fragile and easy to break. That's why beliefs can change, but knowledge and facts can't. When you know something, it won't change because you know it to be true. And when you say that, I know this, but then you add a space, an energetic space for things to come in to keep you from doing what you truly desire. We have the Fool reverse, the 8 of Wands reverse, the 6 of Wands upright, and the Knight of Pentacles. Some of you all feel like you genuinely can't move forward, which is why you're not moving forward. You're not allowing yourself to open up to receive what the divine has because of a lack of knowing. And to know God is to know thyself. It's there. To know thy Father is to know thyself. It says it in every scripture. It says it in many different ways. And you just don't know who you are. You think you're a healer. You believe you're this. You say you're these things, but you don't believe that you are. So those things aren't coming to you. You can say that you are this and that you desire these things, but if you don't truly know that those things are not out of reach, you won't be able to reach them. It's the stopping of the energy. It's you get the idea of, oh, this would be beautiful, I would love this, and you get into that feeling, and then you rationalize it. Your brain is not meant to rationalize. Of course, it's a problem solver, but that's just because we've been indoctrinated for years. The brain gives the signal to the body of how to move. If your heart was in control, which it needs to be, you wouldn't have a worry about these thoughts coming to you and saying this and that, or I can't do this, I can't do that, because simply you would have already done what you needed to do based off of that energy, that feeling that you get. Instead of turning it into an emotion, you allow it to be as it is. The heart is connected to the divine. It is the only part of you that is connected to the divine. It is not the crown. It is not the third eye. Those have nothing really to do with the divine, unfortunately. That has a lot to do with listening to the wisdom that comes from within. As above, so below, as within, so without. You're looking for answers outside of you when they're really just waiting for you to open up and receive. And a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people don't like hearing that either, but that is just simply the truth. And moving forward as well, time. Going from the 6 of Wands to the 9 of Pentacles is a lot of time. Knowing that you can be victorious if you work with yourself, but not wanting to wait. Feeling like you deserve it immediately. focusing on the egoic reasons rather than the full picture, the full spectrum. You might have said that you've gone through enough, but if you truly have, then why don't you have what you say that you should have right now? And it's because you haven't gone through all the stages yet. There's hard work that needs to be done. And it's hard work to take the wands to the pinnacles. It's this leap of faith. You jump, but you don't want to land. You don't like to not be able to fly off bat. So you decide not to make many jumps unless you're for certain that it's going to work out. But you can never be for certain. Nothing is ever set in stone. Things happen all the time. So tapping into that, understanding that fully, understanding that you already have the victory, you just need to move forward with it, is the difficult part. And a lot of people simply focus on the external. They focus on what other people are doing or what other people are saying, and that prevents you from moving forward at all. That keeps you stuck and stagnant. That keeps you in this energy of, I am unable to, or X, Y, and Z is happening, so I can't do it just yet. You can do anything you desire right now. It is really just a subconscious beliefs. It is just that matrix that you have identified with and chosen to believe as true that prevent you from doing it. You can do what anyone else is doing. There is no difference between you and a celebrity that you see. There is no difference between you and someone you aspire to be. The only real difference is the mind, the actions, the energy that you're not embodying, the energy that you feel is too far away to embody. So you decide to step back and move away from it. Or feeling like you won't be able to, or again, comparing it with the ego and saying, well, I don't want to end up like that, or, yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that. I don't want to have to go through all these things. Who says you have to? You saying you don't want to go through something gives the universe a challenge. You saying you're not going to do something, you saying you don't want to do something, immediately tells the universe that you need motivation. You need a challenge. You need a push. And when push comes up, shove, nothing happens. It's this controlling of the mind over the heart. Your mind is being controlled by matter. You're stuck. You're struck with the devil, basically. You need to regain your strength. You need to regain listening fully to your heart and not to the thoughts that run rampant all the time. These thoughts that run rampant are based off of algorithms that have happened in the past or that you see around you. They have nothing to do really with who you are now, because who you are now has nothing to do with who you were a while ago. You're not the same person as before you clicked on this video, and you're not going to be the same person every word that I speak. In fact, whenever you blink, you're not the same person, because if you were, you wouldn't have blinked. You wouldn't have even needed an urge to blink. That would have never been a process within your body. If you were the same, you would have been stuck in neutral. No one's stuck in neutral. The world does not stop moving. The stagnancy around you comes from the stagnancy within you that you're not moving with. That stagnancy is only present to show you that you need to move. That energy of anxiety is only there to push you forward, to show you what you need to do. And those thoughts become overbearing and heavy because they've been there for so long. That energy has been in potential for so long that it's a burden. It becomes the Ten of Wands. I don't know if it's going to come out just yet, but it becomes the Ten of Wands. But it puts you in the Ten of Swords, where you think you're overbearing, where you think you can't do these things. And it's because you have had all this energy that you keep asking for in you, but you just haven't moved with it. You just haven't released full control. Surrendering is one of the hardest acts the human can ever do, because it involves trusting the unknown. And people don't like to trust the unknown. People like for things to be predictable. But yeah, at the same time, it's a funny contradiction. We love surprises. But we only like surprises when we know that there's a surprise, right? And that's why the divine gives us signs and shows us all these things. The Ace of Swords to the Two of Swords reverse, there's a mental clarity. There's a crowning thought within all of that distortedness that you need to find. And you don't need to block your feelings with it. With the Ace of Swords to the Two of Swords, you get that thought. You have the crowning thought for how you need to move forward, for what you really need to do. And you get that feeling. And it hits your heart. But it goes right to your mind and you go, oh, this is stupid, or I don't know this, or I don't know that, or I need to study. And then you look at what you need to do and you see how much time that's going to take up, and you decide to drop it. That is the cycle of man. Until man evolves, that is the cycle of man, of simply seeing that it's time to do something, but worrying about how much time it's going to cost. Time doesn't cost anything. And eternity is not forever either. Eternity is now. Right now is eternity. Right now. Everything in eternity is happening right now. Everything that could ever happen in the world is happening right now. On a grander or lesser scale, it is. And you need to be able to understand that. And when you understand that fully, you'll understand, oh, anything can happen. So you could go to sleep after doing a very specific action and wake up with $250 in your bank account out of nowhere because it just magically appeared. And there doesn't have to be a reason for it either. That's another thing that the mind has an issue with, is needing a reason to do it. It needs to happen because you say it happens. It's going to happen because you said it's going to happen. You declared it with your mouth. You use your God-given power to declare something over your life that you desire. But then when you do so, you also decline it. So you give yourself permission to create what you desire, but then at the same time, you deny it out of fear of it not working, out of an uncertainty of how it's going to really work out. Ooh, let's not put me on fire, y'all. Come on. I know I'm speaking facts, but chill. But it doesn't have anything to do with the how or the why or, the time frame of it going to come in. That's what you need to release from. Understanding that all time is happening now, and if you need it immediately, then you should use that energy, the intense energy that you get in that form of getting it now, knowing that you deserve it, focusing on the energy, meditating, focusing on your breath, setting a boundary within yourself to allow you not to destroy or stop what you desire to happen. That's the key. And it's the hard thing to do, but it's really not. It's only hard because, well, you think it is. You think there needs to be a challenge to life. You think that things need to be hard. They don't. If you had true control over your mind, if you were truly healed, you would have full control and you would be able to get whatever you want at that instant, as it's a birthright that you would have. Now, that's not me saying that I know how to do it either. It's a work in progress for everyone on earth. In fact, if one person knew how to do it, everyone would be able to do it, right? But no one knows how to do it consistently, perfectly through their entire life. And that is the experiment that the divine has been doing, that God has created for us to live through. Who is going to be the one to go the majority of their time on this earth knowing and receiving everything that they desire without stress, without worry, without any other cause other than it's a birthright and I can. That's the trick. It takes subconscious rewiring, it takes isolation, and this is why everyone is isolated. So much so, because we desire to have what we want. And that takes us being away from other opinions, other energies, to focus on our own so that we can control the energy of ourself and not worry about the energy of others. But we're so worried about that. We're so worried about defining things as good and bad instead of just letting them happen. You hear a door slam and you immediately think someone's upset. You get a response that doesn't quite make sense to you, right? And you think it's someone arguing with you. All those things come from something that you have subscribed to within yourself. Maybe you're just an argumentative person because you have never been heard correctly and you feel like everything's an argument when it's not. You think people slamming doors is angry, maybe that door just has a hard time shutting. You know what I mean? You feel like you're too nice, but that's just because you've been around people you diagnosed as being too mean. Or you've allowed them to say you're too nice, and they're just comparing themselves to who they are. And that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. These things that you really need to focus on are the key to your freedom. This is the only secret of life, really, other than what the 3D has done of hiding the truth of the goddesses and gods, of hiding the truth of the mind. But the Romans knew this. That's how they created all the fucking gods and goddesses they made, is because they knew that if they could hide something, then the power would be theirs. Same thing, and that's why we've been under indoctrinations for so many years. They knew that if they just hid who we were, everything would be fine. They wouldn't have to worry about anyone having the power. The secrets of life would just be passed down from generation to generation between those bloodlines. And unfortunately, there are 13 people on this earth who continuously reincarnate and meet up. They are all spread out. They do not live within society's limits. They live outside of society's limits, and they all keep these secrets pretty closely knit together. It involves reincarnation. It involves all the spells that you can do. It involves death spells of how to bring back the dead. All the things that the Cometics had and were trying to teach around the time of Atlantis. But unfortunately, when Atlantis crumbled and the Cometes were left with the knowledge that they were left with, Julius Caesar had the funny idea to raid Egypt and take everything, simply because people were going from Greece and Rome to Egypt to study all sorts of mathematics, all sorts of planetary systems, just get the knowledge. And they felt inferior because they didn't have it. So they took it from the original holders, the Nubians, if you will. But it's important to know, and there's the Ten of Wands. I thought you were going to come out. It's not that hard to guess what cards are going to come out, y'all. This is like a book. And once you know how to read the book, it's basically just like the back of your hand. But the Ten of Wands, it's the heavy burden of not walking away from yourself that we all struggle with. Because we feel like we're not enough, or we need to change something about us, or that we're not perfect, but we're perfectly imperfect, But it's about not walking away from yourself. It's about knowing that there is something better, but it's not that you have to go on this external journey. You don't have to go to a Buddhist temple. You just have to sit down and be honest with yourself. The truths that you've been told by not only you, but the projections around you that have been created. When someone says something about you, it's not to hurt your feelings, Your brain, your mind takes what they say, adds it to a definition that was made by man, and not the actual meaning of the word, because every word has its root or has an origin. It wasn't just made to mean that one thing. Words don't have multiple definitions. They only do because man has the power to create those things. When man first created those words, or when they were disposed to them by God, by the divine, I should truly say, when they were passed down from galaxies to here, they had a specific meaning. They were spells. They were not meant to be contorted and perverted and distorted. They were spells to incantate what they were trying to convey or to bring forth, right? And we attach ourselves now to the modern day meaning of words, which is just another way to keep you in a box, to keep you shallow, to keep you from really seeing the truth of who you are or what the words are. And you might not agree that that's important, but look at your life. If you don't get what you want immediately, it's because of that. You don't mind waiting, so you end up waiting what feels like an eternity because you're so focused on that one thing. And this is again where the Eight of Pentacles comes in. You're focused on one thing. Some people have it pat down to the point to where they ignore it and they move on and do work on other things. But then they have this backlog of waiting on things. You can tell someone's mentality fully off of the way that they're able to manifest, the way that they're able to create in their life, because we're down here to create. Everything was created. Not a single thing that you have access to on this realm has not been created. If it has not been created, it wouldn't be here. It all has an origin. It all goes back to a certain point. And it's not a singular point. It is an internal point. It is the point of now. Existence didn't just be birthed. It didn't become a thing. Existence has always been. Time, life has always just been. It never started. And it never really ended either. It's always been. The secrets that have been lost to time is because of a really bad telephone game and a bunch of people going around and holding the ones that are trying to find the truth back. There's a lot of internal issues that we end up projecting so much so that it becomes our reality. And that's why we have murders, because we end up killing our own ideas, that energy. We end up getting rid of it and changing it from life into stagnancy. And stagnancy is truly the only real death that you'll ever have. So we end up converting that stagnancy into people being killed or into foul decisions being made. We create innocent children being murdered and taken advantage of by not listening to our inner child's way of being. It is all us. It is all of our interconnectedness acting as wholeness and creating the indesirable effect of what we live, despite us being in full control of it. I'm literally telling you the secrets, the way to solve humanity's problems is simply to stop denying yourself. Stop judging yourself. Stop allowing yourself to manifest things in your reality to judge you. Stop taking offense to things. Stop seeing things in a filter of right and wrong, of black and white, and seeing that everything is just a grander or lesser version of you and your own understanding. And that's not for you to judge either. It just simply is. The only person that could judge that is the one who's accepting and receiving that information. But who's the one really receiving it if there's two parties, right? You both are. There's two sides to a coin. The High Priestess reverse. The only thing that's really hidden, the only hidden knowledge is you. And there's a lot of disagreements between the heart and the mind that causes you not to understand the rules of life, the faculties that make up what we experience. And it comes from not listening to the heart. The heart has all the answers. The heart does not leave God. The heart stays with mother, right? That's why it's on the left side of the body. It is why the left side of the body is spiritual. And it is also why the right side of the body is masculine, ruled by Saturn or Satan or the devil, because it's controlled by the 3D. Your mind is controlled by the 3D. That means your mind is the devil, is Satan. Wow. The heart is the divine, is God. It's on the left side, it is feminine. You need the feminine to create life. You cannot create life with man. The whole riddle of what came first, the chicken or the egg came first because the egg is the bearer of life. If you have a chicken, what is it going to do? It's going to lay an egg that brings life. That egg has to exist first before the chicken, because that chicken wouldn't be there if an egg had not have already hatched and made it grow. It is the factual of what we exist in. You cannot have the idea flourish without having that life idea encapsulated within something, within the heart. And it's important to know that the story of your life resides in your heart, but your mind will perturb you away from it, will keep you away from doing what you want. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid they won't like me. Well, we are projecting that onto them and allowing that reality to have a chance to manifest, depending on how much energy you put into it, right? The Three of Pentacles, you're not working correctly. You're not reading the plan, the script, the instructions. The religious texts weren't meant to be taken as literal people. In fact, the whole story of who Jesus was actually really an extraterrestrial that came down and realized that we were not ready to inhabit the abilities because we were so judgmental and so baffled by our own self. And even if you look at it, Jesus became a thing after Egypt was raided, during the raids of Egypt, after it as well. Like, the whole concept of who Jesus is a very different thing of what people want to say. And then in the scriptures, it's a whole other thing as well. Okay? But understanding that these words, these scriptures, these books that we all have, all the text, doesn't matter which one it is, you can't just read one and expect to know it. You have to have a grip of all, because they all root from one source, if you want to put it that way. They all root from a defining source, truly, not just one, but a defining source that shows you the full spectrum of how things are. And it's not about following what those words are saying, but it's really about following the lessons of those words, understanding what they're trying to compare to, understanding the full spectrum of what they're saying, not just seeing it as a personified character. Man knew that we would not be able to just hear stories about energy and accept it. Well, not just man, but the terrestrials that created what we call scriptures. You know, they knew that we weren't able to understand the concept of energy. We needed to personify it. We needed to give it flesh, something that we could relate to, because we were not elevated enough. In fact, we're so weighed down that we're dense matter. In fact, we're so dense that our density starts from within and then extrudes out. We're literally black matter, okay? Well, not all of us, but y'all know. We had the magician that wants to come up upright. You have all the power, but you're not you're not reading the instructions. You're not allowing the wand, the idea to flow to your heart, and then for your heart to tell your mind what to do. Your heart has the key. Your brain has the roadmap. It has the, okay, so we'll do this first then, right? And then you'll do that. And then you'll take that action on the physical and things will start moving forward. It's a step-by-step process. And moving things on the physical doesn't imply actual action. It implies taking it from the internal to the external. If you say, oh, I'm stressed out, then you are using the energy of that grand idea to then be converted into the energy that you diagnosed as stress. And then you end up suffering the symptoms of what stress is because you've allowed other people to define what stress is and what stress feels like, despite it just being a feeling that you have. And the man has to define everything and has to make reason of it because, again, man does not know how to just leave things alone. Man does not understand energy at all. And if man did understand energy, it wouldn't need to personify things or say that there was a mental illness or a mental handicap behind it, because it would just be considered and known as energy. Energy that you would have full force to manipulate into the form that would be more beneficial or best beneficial for you and your cause, rather than to hinder it, right? Really let this simmer in. Really watch this over a few times if you need to. All right? Because I'm telling you the truth, the exact matter that you need to know, the exact formula that will free you from being a slave to yourself, which is actually you being a slave to the world around you, because you've allowed yourself to be controlled by the world around you rather than being the one who's in control of their own world. We all exist on different frequencies for a reason. And it's not because we should control one another, but it's so we can understand that vibration, that energy that they have, not to copy it, but to see how they could use it, to see how they can benefit from it, right? The King of Pentacles reverse. You know how fruitful things could be, but you only wear it as like a decoration. It's the work that scares you. It's the work that you feel like you can't do. It's the work that confuses you. It's the work that you slack on because you've been raised by slackers. And first of all, you don't raise children, okay? Don't call them kids. A kid is a baby goat. Don't call them a child of Baphomet, okay? Let's keep it real. You don't raise children. You teach them. But what we're told from society and what the world is teachers aren't the best. Because teachers don't teach, they indoctrinate. They don't teach you anything. They just tell you it's this way and nothing else. They don't let you express yourself. They don't allow you to go down your own path. They say this is that and that is this. And if anyone else tells you otherwise, they're wrong because I said so. And I said so because I have a piece of paper that says that this is right from someone else who said this was right, all the way back. But you want to have the fruits. You desire to because it's a desire to have on this world, but you feel like you can't achieve it. You feel like it's too difficult in a sense. You find it too abrasive. It's the I've never been raised, I wasn't taught how to do these things. I wasn't told these things. I didn't know this existed. I don't know what to look up. It's the I don'ts that stop you from doing the work on the physical. We are in the best age of discovery. We have the internet, and even though people online will post different things and yada yada, you have the determination to know what you desire. So looking up what you desire and only going until your soul, that feeling in your heart goes, yeah, that's it, rather than the mind going, that makes sense. What's making sense? Your mind is using itself to try and make a sensation, a feeling happen. Your mind does that too. But your mind creates a falsity, not the truth. So lead with your heart. And that's something that's hard to do because it's not the norm. We're not taught to. It's hard, but it's not impossible, right? It's difficult, it's challenging, but you're learning. It's a new obstacle course that you get to surround yourself with and have fun with. But we look at it as too much or undesirable or unacceptable. And that keeps us from really moving forward in the way that we desire. It keeps us from the victory that we know we deserve. It keeps us from understanding, understanding, and overstanding that which we already know is true, but yet don't fully grip yet, right? So pay close attention to that. Pay very close attention to that. We have the Ten of Cups reversed, and that's where you don't, Ten of Cups reversed, yeah, it's the celestial bridge broken. The celestial bridge is not formed from the crown chakra. Some people like to think that it's not, it's from the heart. That's why the heart is in the center. That's why the heart is the middle chakra. You have 3 chakras here, you have 3 chakras there, and then your heart's in the middle because it's the vortex. It's where everything enters and where everything should most likely leave. It's the connector. It's where you're supposed to be. It's what you need to realize. So when you work with your heart, you need to let it experience. You need to allow it to feel, to show you. People listen to their brain, people listen to their gut, but never their heart, because their heart is ruled by their mind rather than letting it just be. It's connected to the divine already. It doesn't need to connect to the divine. When people say to you that you need to go into yourself, what do they say? They say focus on your heart space. They say calm your mind, focus on your breathing, and then feel your heartbeat, because that's who you are. You are your heart. You are it. It's me, myself, and I. And you need to understand that as well. There's 3 of you. There's the 2 of you, the side of you that's masculine, the side of you that's feminine, the side of you that's ruled by the 3D, the side of you that's ruled by the divine, and then when 2 come in agreement, you have the Holy Spirit, right? That's when the divine, that's where miracles can happen. The 3rd is literally inside of you, but it's dormant. It's in your gut, it's your solar plexus. When you are not in agreement with your heart and your mind, you can't create. You're unable to manifest. You're unable to move forward and to bring life to things, right? That's this lack of understanding that's been passed around for ages, and people still say what I consider truly bullshit, because even though it's hard to understand, there are basics to this. It's to understand that once you know that you're a spiritual being and that you're having a human experience, that's your 1 and your 2, your spiritual side and your human side, off bat. So people should already automatically tell you that that's the 2 in you. But people want to assume everyone's smart and, oh, well, if you already know that there's 2 right there, then you should know that there's 2. Not everyone picks that up like that. But it's told to you. You're never given that you're just a spiritual being, because if you're a spiritual being, why are you encapsulated in flesh? Well, because I'm a human. Well, which are you, a spiritual being or a human being? Oh, well, I'm both. Because you're both. You are 2. And you're waiting to wake up that dormant God inside of you, the 3rd, where you can create, where you're able to do things on the physical. You getting up and going to the bathroom is an act of God. You can think of it that way, because your spiritual self is giving you the notion, the idea of, I might have to go to the bathroom. And then your feelings go, yeah, my senses are inflared. I do need to go to the bathroom. I feel my bladder full. So you get up and go to the bathroom. That's God moving you to do something. It's simply that, it's really that simple. And it's that obvious too. But no one on this fucking planet will ever talk to you this way because they don't want you to know, frankly, because they don't fucking know either. And they're asking people and they're getting information from people that don't even know either. And they're getting the information from the one person on this planet that knows all this shit, but they keep it hidden behind closed doors because, God forbid, everyone start doing what they're doing just as easily as they are. Because they're stingy and they don't want you to have it. But the same thing goes for you. You have knowledge that you might not want to share. And that's perfectly fine, but you're part of that vicious cycle as well, honey. That's why I do my best to share things. And I understand that there's what is it, tradition? I don't typically resonate with the word tradition because your ancestors are you, and through you and your ritual of being born, you are then making your own new tradition that involves all the energies that have created you up to this point. That is your tradition, really. So if you wish to embody the tradition of secret keeping, you may, but just understand, especially for for the Nubians, for the true goddesses and gods out there that like to hold this information back, that is a white man's problem, and I'm gonna declare it like that too because it needs to be said. Hiding of these secrets did not start happening until white man came in and fucked some shit up. We used to share all the time. I mean, shit, that's what we did. We shared everything. We educated people. That's what we want to be able to do, is to know things so that we wouldn't be lost like this. But unfortunately, you see how the world is now, and it's because of, well, who started it? You can go back in history and find this stuff too. You can go back in religious scripts and they'll tell you who did it too. And every religious script also has a disciple, quote unquote, who's actually a deceiver, if you look at it. But anyway, with the Four of Swords reverse, it's a lack of resting. It's a lack of trusting the thoughts that your heart allows your brain to receive as well. This is where it starts to get a little complicated, so bear with me. Take notes, rewatch this genuinely, come back when you are at a more stable mental area to understand this stuff, because I'm breaking down so many secrets for you that no one will ever fucking tell you. And this is what they were afraid of me doing, because listen, I know a lot of shit and I try my best to teach people. But we're in the age of Aquarius, and all 4 death attempts on my life have completely failed. Y'all suck at what you're supposed to do. No wonder you're getting your karma. Not trying to offend no one, but sucks to suck. So we're out here spreading the truth now. You know what I mean? It wasn't meant to happen in the first place, so don't try again, is what I'm saying. Anywho, with the Four of Swords reverse, it is, you're not trusting your heart. You're not in the simplest forms, you're not trusting your heart's information. But what's going on is the divine speaking to your heart. Your heart tells your mind, do these things. Right? And then when you get that idea, boom, the divine's in your head. And we hit a few nerves with nerves with that one, unfortunately. We hit a few nerves, unfortunately, but what can they do? Nothing is what they can do, because I'm not gonna let them do a damn fucking thing. Anywho, we're back. So you get both of them in your mind. I think that's where we left off. I'm pretty sure. So you get both the angel and the devil in your mind. And the divine doesn't like to argue. The divine doesn't argue. The divine says something and it is. And the mind goes against it and says it's something else. And when the divine tells you all the reasoning that it has received, well, when your heart tells you, like, hey, this is why we should do this, right? It's fun, it's going to help you, it's everything that you want, but your mind doesn't comprehend it yet because of the lack of trust in the heart. the heart shuts off because you're not perceiving third eye energy. Your third eye is not receiving the energy. You're not being able, your self eye, the ego, the pineal gland, isn't able to perceive the information, so it shuts down because the heart no longer is talking to it. So it can't even perceive the divine revelation that's been put onto it, giving you all control. And you are based off of external viewing points and the past and restrictions. So then you think you can't do it because X, Y, and Z. And because that rebuttal has stopped, but because that conversation, I should truly say, between the divine and yourself has stopped, you then go with, I guess I was right because I'm not getting a response back, which is bullshit. We think that a lack of response is you winning something, when a lack of response happens due to ignorance on your behalf. It happens because why would I need to argue with someone? Why would I need to explain something to someone if they're not open enough to receive what I'm putting down? So I'm going to back up and raise my hands. It's not my time to save you yet, says the heart, says the divine. You still need something more to learn. You still need some form of behavior, some form of external point to be made to show you that you can. So then we either manifest someone in our life who seems to be doing what we desire to do, or we manifest someone in our life who prevents us from doing what we need to do by attacking us, quote unquote, with the same energy that we put in ourselves and damage and attack ourselves with as well. We manifest these people in our life, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's not unfortunately, because those people need to exist as well as being the further end of the spectrum of who you are. They meet you because they need to learn how to be more like you, and you need to learn how to be more like them. This doesn't mean to adopt their mannerisms, their mentality, but to understand their energy and how they're moving. Seemingly, a lot of people say that the actions of the past may have been from a selfish viewpoint. Selfish to you, someone that hasn't given enough to themselves and has not received enough, and believes that they deserve someone to come in and give them everything that they desire, despite themselves not giving them the one thing that they're wanting to achieve, right? And that's where this comes from. That's why I, say that the empath can be seen as a narcissist, because the empath believes that it deserves the best, and so does the narcissist, but it's an opposite act. The narcissist feels like they should because they're bullheading everything, and the empath believes that they should because they're sitting back and being nice and allowing things to go to them when they desire. But because they've been so non-compliant, not non-compliant, but non-complatant, they believe that they deserve it. And because the narcissist has been pushing so much pressure on, they believe they should be the one to receive it. When unfortunately, neither of them should, because their viewpoints are based off of actions that they deem deep down inside incorrect, because they know the correct way of going about things. Simply put, if people just listen to what they know they should be doing, there would be no problems on this earth. But we all have our own agenda, which is perfectly fine because we're here to learn. And this isn't to put anyone down. This is just simply to put you in a self-reflective energy so that you know what's really going on, so that you can look back at these things and know how to better yourself, learn how to better your situations, learn how to escape these I can't speak, but it's going to show you how to get past the points of your life that are not desirable, that are almost insufferable, and it comes from that viewpoint of you not getting your way. And again, this stems from childhood injuries. Notice how people who grew up in very rich, very abundant families don't have that issue. They just seem to walk around and get everything they desire because they have never had in their mind put in the matrix that they are not deserving of certain things. They have not ever in their life heard that you can't get this. They have been spoiled by their parents, which teaches them, hey, my lack of action can get what I desire, right? And then that splits into the two categories of those who end up being lazy and not and adopting a sloth-ish energy, and then end up getting their bubble busted because, oh, you don't deserve this. Or it transmutes into the people that continuously do what they have done since childhood to receive what they get, and they continue to get what they get because there has not been an opposing factor to say that yet. That's why we meet those types of people, and that's why those people meet us, so that they can see a different reality that then subconsciously changes their viewpoints because they've never met someone from you. This is the whole into 3D terms, like what is it called? Like the current, like the class that you're in, like middle class, upper class, lower class shit. That's where this derives from. It's not about money, it's about mentality. Okay? Because it doesn't matter how depressed or how much the mind hates their reality, their mind knows that they're going to continuously make money or continuously have no money, which is why they live those realities out, because that's the energy that they are attuned to with the matrix. That's why when you break out of these matrices, when you decide to fully heal and go into yourself, everything seems thrown out of whack. And it's because you're literally deconstructing who you are, what your experiences were, and then constructing them into something more solid, something more suitable for what you actually desire, rather than what you used to desire. Because they would not have happened to you if there was not a desire for that to happen. Unfortunately, that sounds very harsh and unconsiderate, you may say, but that is the truth of it. We desire to learn those things. In fact, do you think you would be who you are now without those experiences? It is about gratitude, accepting things for how they are, but not allowing them to change who you are. That is the magic of the mind. That is the magic of who we are. That is why we're here, to learn how to manipulate the energies around us. Not worrying about the past and not stressing about the future, but sticking within eternity in this moment that we have now to convey and convert anything that we desire to fit our will as a birthright of being here. We were born in an abundance. We were dropped by the divine to say, this is your life, you're going to have an abundant life. Life is abundant and by nature. Go experience, go have fun. Our experiences are simply just experiences, but our relation to those experiences are based off of how we compare them to other people. I'm going to talk about this, and it's going to sound very strange, but it's true. It's been people have been experimented on in this way, and it is a true thing. If you were always abused your entire life, and you were isolated, and you never met anyone in your life who did not go through any form of abuse, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, doesn't matter. You never met a single person ever who was like that. You would believe that that's normal. But because you're put in society and faced with mirrors of other projections of who you are, and you see that other people are abused more and other people are abused less than you, it now leaves you confused to define who you are based off of comparing yourself to other experiences. If you never seen it different, you would have never known any other. But that's the difficult thing. We're surrounded by a reality that is controlled by people that understand how the brain works and understands these things down to a T, that then create programs, television, tell lies, visually programming you and your mind, your subconscious, and your heart, and your gut, your whole entire system on this is bad and this is good, and look at all these murders happening. Now you're carrying that energy of all those murders happening because it reminds you that you have been going through a difficult past, or you've had a past full of violence, or maybe you have committed an act of violence at one point. Doesn't necessarily matter what it is, but you then compare yourself to that subconsciously and go, oh, I feel for that because I know what that's going to feel like. That's energy harvesting 101 there for you right there. All right. And that's as well as why they tell you, like, watch what be careful what you take in, because that then defines you. Be careful what you eat. And eating goes to digestion. So when you visually digest something, when you sensically digest something, however you digest it, it goes within you, and then you digest it, you understand it, because all digestion is your body breaking down the food, taking what it needs from it, and then letting the waste go. So what you end up doing is taking in what you need. You become attached to the flesh, to the action that flesh did, and you diagnose it as good or bad. And then that is going to stick with you for any other thing on the spectrum of life that happens, and you're going to compare it as bad or not so bad, or that wasn't anything. You know what I mean? It's all an illusion that has been built around you to keep you in a box, to keep you from knowing truly what's going on. And this is what keeps you from manifesting. When you see what's called movie magic, that's the same magic that happens in real life. It's just you don't see the strings, just as in the movie. But behind the scenes, you got the green screen, you got the harness on the people with the strings, and they're flying around. You're not seeing that on you because you're not realizing that your higher self is the puppet master, and you're Pinocchio, and you want to be the real boy, but your higher self knows best, and you go out and get in trouble, and you begin to lie to yourself, and your nose gets longer. You become further and further away of who you truly are, to where you have to cut off your nose to spite your face. It ends up falling off, and you don't get to experience or see what you desire. You carry on that heavy weight where people look at you and see and can just gauge that you're not happy because you're not living their dreams, because those people are not living their dreams and are happy as well. Or maybe they are living their dreams and they're happy and they see you in that energy. But it's all a comparison of who you are in that exact moment. And it's the attachment of the past that we need to do. But we grow so attached to it because we believe that the past is going to help us. How? If it was going to help us, wouldn't the past still be in our present, in our internal now? And if it is still happening in the internal now, it is to show you the restrictions of yourself that you're putting on yourself. I don't need cards to tell you this, by the way. The cards help you. This is just a tool. I don't need anything to tell you about this stuff. But the divine knows that we as people need something to compare to. And that's why we have tarot. It's a 72-page book that is unbound, and you read it constantly. It is the same story, just different, because you start on a different page. Some pages you skip. Some pages you read extra. That's all it is. There is a literal order of a tarot deck, which is why I always say just use the Rider-Waite tarot deck and not worry about other renditions, because though they may have the artistic expression, they will not show you the actual story of life. There is a solidified, dignified order that does not go by the numbers of the cards. It goes by the imagery of the cards. And they form out a gigantic story. They really do. One day I'll show you it. I'm still putting that piece together. Because it's a lot of introspection that you have to do. You have to study these cards. That's the thing. It's the same thing as life. You have to study life. You have to study life to figure out where the picture's going, to find out where you're at in the picture. And everyone has their own different, way of starting it. But the King of Swords, really clearing your mind. It's the thought that nothing is going to transform. It's the thoughts. It's the acceptance of the thoughts, truly, that keep you from transforming. That keep you from stepping into your true nature. The order of tarot, when it comes to the face cards, if you will, is the Queen to the Page to the Knight to the King. The Queen is first, as it's feminine, it's divine, it starts off the cycle. You can't have anything without the queen. The queen goes to the page, the youngest person in the whole tarot. The page is a child, an adolescent. The knight is you putting action. It's more of a teenage, more of an adult-ish energy. Not really an adult, but it's maturing. The king is the most mature card in the deck. It knows what it's supposed to do. It has the royalty. And when a king is in reverse, it is because you're not seeing your authority and you're holding yourself at a lesser point due to whatever object's in his hand. King of Pentacles reverse. You're not holding yourself up to the accountability that you need on the physical. King of Swords reverse. You're not holding yourself solidly enough with your thoughts and allowing your thoughts to end up betraying you. King of Cups, you're not holding your emotional, you're not being responsible for your emotions, which is allowing you to act out in not so mature ways. In the King of Wands reverse, you're not believing in yourself enough despite you knowing how much you desire and how much you can achieve what you desire. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. But we have people today that compare these images to actual people, which is an incorrect way of reading tarot, which is why you never see me using tarot when I come up here and do lives unless it's something like this, because I'm teaching you, and telling you what this is all about. No games, no gimmicks, no pulling the rug from underneath your feet. Simply enough, you don't need these cards to let people know what's going on in their life. You can read the energy simply based off the words, the spoken words, or the typed out words that come from them, because that holds all the energy of them. But because people are not that adept to energy, or that responsible with their energy to be able to decode what these messages say, they then need an extra tool to do so, right? It's like you keep hitting your hand with the hammer when you're trying to put a nail in. So you then put on a very thick glove on top of your hand so that you don't hit your thumb with the hammer anymore, right? And even if you do hit the thumb with the hammer, it's not gonna hurt, or you're not gonna feel it as much because it softens the blow, which is what we do as humans when we personify energy. We make it lesser in that regard. We give it a reason to be blamed for it external. We give it a purpose to shape our will, and our will is to see others in a position where they are blamed because we were blamed and we were forced to accept. So why aren't they? Right? That is really what's going on in the realm of tarot. And me, along with the help of my teacher, my mentor, and a few others, we're here to really shape the world back to how it was. Not that where it's at now is a issue, but unfortunately the general consensus of the world thinks that this is an issue, so then we have to go back to our roots and solve it that way. And where is the roots at? Projection. And what's being used as a major projection tool right now? Not the internet, these cards. Looking at things and projecting them on the people. Looking at images and saying, oh, that's this and that's that, whenever they have a distinct meaning already. That is human error. That is human mindset. That is ego. If you wish to make your own tarot deck, use it that way, because you have your own defined meanings for those decks, and they should be respected within that realm, right? That's why I always make my own. That's why I make my own and then I read the other ones as they come out, or I might put a little twist on it here and there, right? Because it's something that I need to work on to make my own. It's about being original, and you can't be original if you're using someone else's ideas. And that's just the solid proof of it. That's why it's important to know who you are and what you're trying to achieve. Because if you're trying to achieve your own goal, but with someone else's tools, there's going to be a misconveyed action or message that's given regardless. It's important to know that you are the one with the gift, with the energy, with the deciphering ability to then tell people what's going on. It is your responsibility. It doesn't matter This goes for everything. I'm, again, just using these as what they're supposed to be used as, a tool, an example to show you what's going on, right? Not saying this is simply about divination. That's just the rule of thumb for life. So really let that sink in. Really think about these things. Because again, you're not going to hear another soul talk about this. And if you do, congratulations, because we need more of them fucking popping up. And where the hell are you? Because we need you now, okay? But again, this is the truth. This is why people are lost and confused, because everyone keeps getting the same message, because everyone's trying to copy one way of being, instead of really doing what they're supposed to do. That's why my readings are so unique. I don't copy anyone else. I have been blamed for copying people many times, but unfortunately, I'm the only one who really has their own path. And no, I would take that back. I'm the one that has their own path along with others, but I started my path without copying. Inspiration's not a bad thing. Having fans is not a bad thing. Using someone's method to better understand things is not a bad thing. Understand that. But when you begin to develop your own understanding, when you develop your own way of doing, that is when you should be able to branch off and then explore your own. And that's what we're here. That's what teachers, that's what healers, that's what these shamans out here are doing, is showing you their way, the way that they know is true and works, the way that they have studied, the way that they know is the genuine, authentic energy of it. And they pass it to you, and you can use those ways for as long as you need. But when you get the grasp, that's when you spread off and go, okay, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. There's no such thing as an incorrect spell, just an incorrect mindset. Because all magic is mental. It takes that mental idea to make it. Magic is simply drawing on a piece of paper. Me writing the word cultist on this paper was magic. Because that piece of paper did not have that black ink on it before I had the idea to put it down. That's magic. Me having these cards out here is magic. And these cards would not exist here unless my brain said, let me use these specific cards. That's the magic of it. In the Five of Wands reverse, this is how you break free of Saturn's grip. Saturn will not have control over you if you don't allow it to. On this card, it looks like they're in conflict. They're not. There's only one in conflict, and it's the red. And he's holding the stick up going, let's go this way. That's why you're facing it. Any card that has multiple people on it and it has one facing one way and the other's facing another, that's you versus your external world. You're different. You're not following the other path of what they're doing. You're wanting to go this way. They're wanting y'all to go that way. And what you're doing is you're competing. You're fighting yourself because you're ruled by Saturn. We all are ruled by Saturn as being beings of water, and Saturn ruling water, and Saturn destroying things by time, which we were created into time, by time, in time. And that's what Saturn is. It's fighting you. It's you fighting yourself. It's you fighting Satan. You fighting the 3D world. You can't do it because the 3D world says it's too hard, or the 3D world makes it impossible with all these loops and jumps. You can do it, but you're unwilling to go through those hoops and jumps. And that's why on the spiritual path, you're forced to do things that you're not really wanting to do, because unfortunately, you're not willing enough to do it in the first place. And if you were, things would go smoother. And you might be willing enough to allow them to happen in divine time, but you get the idea that hits your heart, that goes to your mind, and then you go, I don't want to do that. We all know the plan of our life, but it's up to you to be aware and willing to submit to that plan of life. Not judging the plan that God has given you, that the lessons that you need to learn. Maybe you really need to learn to ask for help more. And it seems like no one wants to help you because you projected that out on people. You projected that, they're not going to help me, so I'm not going to ask for help. Or you ask people for help, but you're not helping yourself in that regard, you know? And it's important to take that accountability. You create everything. You create the destruction, you create the life. And it's about really sitting down and being honest with yourself and seeing that just because everyone else is doing one thing and that's who you're around, that's not how you're supposed to be. You want to be different because you know you're different, because you have different ideas, because working a 9 to 5 isn't satisfactory for you. Following what they believe in just doesn't suit you. It's okay. But now that you know that, now you're getting ideas. Now I could probably do this. I need to do that. If I don't want to do this, I should be doing these things to prevent me from needing to do that, right? But then you get into this mental conflict of, I can't do this because XYZ, and it would be easier if I had this thing, and then you get another idea of, oh, you could do this as well. Oh, but that's hard too. So let me, maybe I'm just not good at multitasking yet. I need to learn how to multitask. You know what I mean? It's these things right there, the learning experience of life. And you can't learn without experience. You can't learn without doing. You go to school and the teacher tells you, how to solve a math equation. The ones that understand how to do that math equation is because they're paying full attention. They are giving their full energy and their free will to learn that. And the reason why people can't learn those things is because they're distracted by Saturn. There's things going around. There's a lack of controlling of the body because you haven't been taught to really control yourself. And that's okay. There are only two true mental illnesses, and that's a lack of emotional response and a lack of mental response, right? There's no other ones. They all derive from either not being able to control your emotions, which your mind creates, or not being able to control your thoughts, which your mind also creates. Those are the only two mental illnesses. And ever. Everything else is an umbrella term from those two. If you have depression or ADHD, you're unable to control your emotions. If you have impulse control, or you have a hard time, truly and honestly, schizophrenia is just a hard time controlling the thoughts. It's a hard time controlling the thoughts of, this isn't happening, or I can't have this happen. It's that restriction, that fear of being able to see something that someone else can't see, that then makes you feel like something's wrong with you, right? And then the lack of control can either be violent, internally violent, or self-violence, or externally violent. And those are the only two terms for that as well. Either you self-harm by physically self-harming, which is external, or internally self-harming, which is self-doubt and prevention. This is what they don't want. This is what Big Pharma don't want you to know. But I'll break that down for you too. If you simply just learn, and here's the Hierophant on the bottom. I love how you're there talking about all this. That's confirmation. Because the Hierophant has two keys. 2 students, 2 in you, being controlled by 1. Notice the sign of peace on the left hand. The Kemetic sign for peace. This is a European sign of separation. This is peace. Notice how the peace is there, and the Hierophant staff is in the right hand. You are ruled by right rulings, but you are connected by your heart by peace, by the divine's will. And the 2 keys represents your masculine and your feminine. The keys have to cross, intersect, interact to be able to show you the correct way of leading with the divine, but as well with your power. It's right there in the card. Number 5, your 5 senses, controlling your senses, your 5 senses. It's all right in the card, truly. Anyway, I cannot wait to finish I can wait actually because it's not finished yet. But yeah, the whole tarot breakdown thing that I'm working on, I'm working on it again. The laptop that I have working now had that on it, and I was trying to transfer it to my other laptop, and that didn't work. So I have all the things that I need right now to do these things, and that's what my big project's been, is getting you all the truth of these cards. And they're not going to be, they're going to be in depth, but it's not going to be the exact teachings that I was given. It's going to be the understanding that I have into a more socially acceptable way of talking about them, so that you're able to grasp the idea of these cards more. Because we're here to spread truth and not keep people in the dark. And that's just something that I'm very passionate about of doing, because I like to learn. So my passion is to teach, simply as that, right? But the sun reverse, it comes from this overshadowing inner child, not allowing yourself to truly benefit, reap the rewards, or even see the light. If you notice on the sun, there's sunflowers, and if you know what sunflowers do, they turn towards the sun, right? They like looking at the sun, but with it in reverse, you're not seeing the light. You're stuck in the dark. The sunflowers look at the light to get nourishment, because the light allows you to learn, to see, to understand. But with it in reverse, you're keeping your inner child in the dark. You're still afraid of getting the inner child hurt, based off of past experiences, based off of who you used to be and not who you are now. And that's the whole conundrum of the human vessel, is not being able to experience the now. We have to compare things. We like to compare and contrast, and we use that with our free will. Whether that helps us or tears us apart is also up to our free will as well. But it's important to know that you are in control of these things. And it is the different angles of light that you allow yourself to see, the light of understanding, right? That allows you to see the different meanings. We have the Queen of Pentacles. Nurturing, allowing the divine to give you the instructions for how to move on the physical. That is the solution to all of this problem, is one simple thing: allowing your heart to guide you. We were told that we're heartbroken or that our heart has issues. It is our mind that has issues, because we would not think our heart has issues if we were not told our heart had an issue. What do you mean my heart has an issue? It's beating properly. That can't be it. It's not it. It's your mind. Your mind that creates these emotions that overrule your heart. Your heart's not the issue. Your heart has separated itself so far from the issue that you're left with nothing but the issue, which is your own thoughts, yourself, you. And as unfortunate as that may seem, it's the truth. What are you doing that's causing you to not see a better light in things? What are you doing that's not allowing you to see the path ahead? It could be meditation. It could be talking to yourself better. It could be even hydrating, taking care of your gut health more, all of these things, raising your vibration. And raising your vibration doesn't come from hard work. Raising your vibration comes from just genuinely wishing to raise your vibration. And that includes following the instructions that higher vibration needs you to follow to be a match of it. Understand these things, truly, because this is how you're going to free yourself, actually, wholly and truly. It is something that we all struggle with. It is something that we all do day to day. Even the ones that have this down pat and teach it still do this day to day. Myself, I study this stuff day to day. And I don't study it by reading books, by watching videos. I look at myself. I have all the answers I need. You have all the answers you need. But you manifested me so that you could better see those ideas, because we just need an opinion from someone else. We need more than ourself because we don't trust ourselves. Because we've been trained to not we've been trained to not trust ourselves. Goodness gracious, honey. I get tongue-tied so much. But when we realize that the only way you can be trained is by submission as well. So we already know how to submit as humans, but we have a fear of submitting to the new. Because what we think is new, we think of it as scary, but it's not. We have the Knight of Wands. The fire of transformation, growing, seeing, understanding the idea, letting the idea flow through us. The Knight of Wands is a messenger. It carries the message of the energy from your inner child, that beginning first movements into a more matured flow where you start taking baby steps. It's like watch a baby walk, right? It stumbles a minute, right? It falls a little bit, it stumbles, but then it gets the hang of it. It's a little wobbly, it might be doing a penguin walk, but the baby is still walking regardless, and it's able to stand up and it's able to move. That's the Knight of Wands. You're learning how to walk again. You're learning how to use the energy in a correct way that's going to benefit you in the highest way possible so that it can become the king and be fully stable. So then it can learn how to run and learn how to jump, and it knows how to do all these other things to where your leg muscles are built. The muscle that accepts the energy will no longer be defiant of the energy and thinking that it's too hard to lift because it's done it. It's like a bodybuilder. They can bench press 250, and it used to be a struggle, but now they do it with one hand like a breeze because they've trained themselves. They took the time, the steps to train themselves to really do it. And how do you go through that change? Through the fire. You must burn it. That's why they're wands. You must burn. You must use the energy. When you use energy, it's burning. It creates heat, friction, traction within inside of you. That's the start of heat. That is fire within nature. It is allowing the fire within you to be ignited and not to withdraw from it. That's the biggest thing that every person struggles with, is running with the fire. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. It just matters that you stay determined with it. Your determination, your energy, the more you do it will allow it to gravitate more. And that's all you need to do, is just transform to allow that fire to be with you. And with this, with this wand, with the leaves on it, how that wand has leaves, it has life. It's a life stick. It's not naked. It has leaves on it. You're able to use it for benefit, for life. It has nourishment inside of it. It has water inside of it. It wouldn't have those leaves if it didn't receive water, the nourishment, the life. These wands are alive. This energy is alive in you, and it's moving to your heart. But you cut off the water by burning it with your thoughts, by immediately chopping it with the axe, with the sword, cutting it in half, allowing that liquid, the nourishment, to dry up. It's left in the sun. It's less for you to visually experience it or to use it. It's burnt up and unable to. The image, like seriously, if y'all just took a minute to look at these cards by yourself forever and looked at why they're painted this way, there are some wands in this deck that have no leaves on them for a reason. The way these characters are put on there for a reason. Everything's done. There are no such thing as coincidences. Everything's done for a reason, either consciously or subconsciously. And unfortunately, a lot of people are unconscious. They do not pay attention to what they're seeing. They pay attention to what their ego wants them to say and not what the heart truly is trying to convey, right? So really, allow this to change your perspective. Look at things with a fresh perspective. If you're spiritual, you'd spiritualize these things. But you're mental, so you think about them. You know? Spiritualize it. See it from a higher perspective. See it more than just a blank wall. See it for why is the wall there? What is behind the wall? Why was this wall created? Why does the wall have texture? Why is the wall a certain color? You know, why is it here in front of me? Why am I not in front of the wall? Ask yourself these questions. They're not redundant. They're not stupid. They give you the answers that you need, truly and fully. And all it takes is trust in yourself to know that you can have the answers that way. But we're told that we're stupid and we don't know anything. And then we meet people that know more than us and we compare ourselves and think that we're not worthy or smart. Unfortunately, fortunately, truly, that's incorrect. Because you know these things. In fact, you know them because you're being faced with them. But it's this reluctance to open up to it. It's this reluctance to truly see it for how it is, because you wish to say that someone's inconsiderate, or you wish to say that it's an attack, but it's not an attack. You're attacking yourself because you're not opening up. The ego is there restricting you from getting the nourishment that's in that message to show you the truth. And then people think that their guides talk to them, when it's not their guides, it's their own self. It's who they used to be. It's their past self telling them things based off of experiences that then will gratify the ego, which gives a false sense of nourishment to you. And you got to understand that. Because if you receive anything into your vessel that strikes it as not loving, as not caring, as not nourishment, it is because something inside of your brain is telling you that it's not. It's either because of your actions or the way that you're digesting the actions of another. Because everything is done out of love. And sometimes other people's love is not your love. And you must love yourself enough to back away from that and to love yourself the way that you need, so that you can have that love that you want, right? But everything starts from you. Everything is you. You create everything. Everything has been created for you. You were in mind when things were created. Cars would not exist if you were not thought of. Cars were invented because someone thought of someone like you who needed transportation by like a mechanical beast, right? Playing games were created with you in mind because you need to play games when you don't have anything, because people perceived and then created the emotion of boredom. You know, boredom is just the space that allows creativity to flow the most. That's how ideas are formed. That's how miracles are made. That's how everything's invented, is from boredom. Because boredom comes from lack. And when you lack something, you become creative, or you're supposed to become creative, to then create something to fill that lack, so that lack doesn't exist. Chairs existed because someone said, I want to sit down, but I don't want to sit on the ground right now. I want to sit on something that has a cushion. Something that could elevate me a few inches off the ground. Well, they made it because it was needed. There was a lack. There was a space that needed filled, and now it's filled. And now we have all these chairs, because now that one chair, oh, this is a wooden chair. I hate this bitch. This wooden chair has splinters in my butt cheeks. I want a chair that has a pillow on it. So then someone made a pillow for a cushion. And man, I want this pillow to be on my head when I sleep, because this is making my butt feel real good. So then someone made an actual pillow. All these things happen because you were thought of. And you might not want to think it was you, but it was. Because who's the one using these things? You. Other people are too. Who gives a fuck about them though? Because you're using it. So it was invented for you. It was invented for you to see, to use, and for some to judge. You know? Because humans like to judge things. We like to have power. We know that we have power deep down inside, so we take that power, and instead of using it for creation, for an optimistic way, we pessimize it. We judge it in a sense of, oh, this is stupid, or this is silly, or, instead of being like, this is bad and it's going to stay bad, we need to change it to where, like, oh, this is bad, where it changes to something good. Like, again, like the chair example, the splinters in the butt's a bad thing for that one person because they didn't like it. Everyone else didn't have an issue with it, but someone had so much of an issue with it that they made something to fix it. And now everyone used it because they were complying with, oh, this is good enough. Oh, at least this is invented so I don't have to sit on rocks anymore, but these weird splinters really hurt. Well, yeah, you complied with that pain. And instead of getting up and going, oh, I want to invent this, you just complied with it and manifested collectively someone to be born to then fix your issue. That's what humans love to do. Why is no one else solving my issues? Because they're your issues and you need to solve them. But if enough people put their energy into it, it will be solved by nature. But only if that person that they manifest also agrees with their motive, with their free will. And that is the funny little secret. That's just another funny little secret. But we have Seven of Pentacles, Page of Wands. So the Seven of Pentacles, don't overwork. Don't pick at a scab when it's healing. Simply enough. That's really what the Seven of Pentacles is. You're working on things, but you're like, it's not fast enough. It's 7. It's to wait. You're impatient. You want it to grow in the physical. You're starting to see the signs of things moving in your favor, but it could go a little faster, couldn't it? Well, why are you putting so much energy of it going slow on it? Because now it's going to move slower because you're projecting that slow energy onto it, right? So what you need to not do is you don't need to be this character, this personification of the energy that you do, and you don't need to stare at it. They're not ready to divine yet. You would know if they were ready. So what do? You get creative. What could you do to help this move? What could you do in this waiting period? With this newfound idea that you're faced with of, it's going slow. You have the solution in that question. Well, the solution is to why it's going slow is, well, it's not going fast, and that's why it's not going slow. I know that it could be moving faster, but I'm not getting the idea that makes it go faster. I'm just seeing the issue. So Page of Wands it. Get into your creative abilities. Let that fire, that idea that struck inside of you, create the next step that you need to make so that you can allow things to move in your favor. We're going to get 2 more cards, Spirit. And then I'm going to bounce. Because I feel like I have explained enough. And there are all infinite amount of days to fill this information in more. So we're just going to split it and take the bottom. We have the 3 of Wands reverse and the 7 of Wands upright. I feel like that's a good way of ending it too. The 3 of Wands reversed to 7 of Wands upright. I think that's a good way of doing it, of ending this. Don't be impatient. Really just wait. We'll talk about the 7 of Wands first, because I'm really feeling drawn to it, okay? On the 7 of Wands, if you look, he has a boot and a shoe. A boot on the, I believe, right foot and a shoe on the left. It's mirrored, so I can't fully remember right now. But there's 2 different shoes. You're more stable on one ground than the other. Those wands are not coming up to attack you, and he's putting the wand down. Notice how he's not defending himself from any of the wands. He looks like he's not even looking at the wands. He's looking at the ground below him. He's trying to find a place to put this wand down. He's carrying so many ideas, so many wands. He has to rest. I'm carrying too much. The fuck? I gotta put this shit down. I gotta rest it up on the land, on what's stable. These ideas that I'm getting can help prop up my stability, but at this point, I have to put them around it. I have to compare it to the idea and see if it's gonna actually work. To the Three of Wands reverse, this takes introspection, where you go back to the heart. The wands right back to the heart. The Three of Wands is both the wands and the cups, because the water's there. The water is sun colored. It's yellow. You can't see through it. But you can see the ships in the water. You can see the thoughts that are forming on top of the feeling that you have. And with the Three of Wands, it indicates that you are allowing those thoughts to control your feelings and control the water, because you're unable to comprehend it. But we're going to talk about it in the sense of it being upright, just to make things simpler so you can understand really. But with the Three of Wands, it's about waiting, knowing that you have solid ideas, and in fact you have an idea that you're holding in your hand, in your left hand to be exact, in your spiritual hand. Your heart already knows what it wants to do, but you have a few ideas that are backing it up that you want to take along the way. You have to investigate why those other ideas are needed. Not in a bad way, but in a way to not be overwhelmed and end up in a Ten of Wands where you have so many ideas that you can't even move with. Because you need to go from a Seven of Wands where you're resting with these ideas. You're comfortable. You have the plan of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Notice the water is blue on the Seven of Wands there, and he's standing over it. He's balancing himself on top of these feelings that he has. The shoes might be unstable because he's not too sure of how to relate it to the physical, but he's ready to rest. I know what I have to do. I just have to wait for that feeling to come up so I can strike it. And that comes to the Eight of Wands, where all those wands are thrown out. And when those wands are thrown out, a new idea is created. Because when you take action, a new response will be given. So you have your Seven of Wands and you're throwing them. And then here comes a new wand. When you're throwing them, this one idea is not working, so let me do a different one. Or the way I'm trying to throw these wands or use these ideas isn't working, so let me add a new step into it. But it is motion. It is 8. It is you with the crowning achievement, knowing that you can move forward with the idea, and you are doing so with respect for yourself, with bounds of energy that supports you. But it's so important to remember that when you are coming up with these ideas, when you are truly sitting in that energy of contemplation, of what should my next step be, it's not to ask out loud, it's to ask yourself, what do you want to do next? And you'll say to yourself, well, I want to do this, this, and that, but I just don't see how I can do it. Well, why do you want to do those things? Which one of those things do you want to do the most? The first one that you mentioned. Because that's the first one that you mentioned. The first two that you'll mention, actually, come from the divine. You can do this or that. Those are two good ways you can do something. Every other idea or thought that comes through is not necessarily the best choice. It can work. And that's so funny because here's the Five of Swords. And that's why I said 2. Because on the 5 and the 7 of Swords, there's 2 swords there. And those 2 swords represent the thoughts that you're either leaving behind and letting go away, or you're picking back up with the 7 of Swords. But it's all about staying within that balance, staying within that cycle, and allowing yourself to truly know who you are and what you want to do. Because who you are is not who you think you are. Who you are your actions. And Your actions are not to be defined by someone else who isn't you, because then they'll cross-contaminate and you'll get the wrong idea. But that is what we have. I'm getting confirmations as well with this to just end. I just got 3 back to back. So thank you, Spirit. We're done here. That's what I wanted to let y'all know. That was this reading. I did a few channelings. I got Anubis to join me. I got Isis over here. I talked to Thoth and Isis. I already said Isis, Osiris, excuse me. I talked to them for a minute. I did my things. Just to help me convey messages better, you know what I mean? It's not wrong to invoke certain energies to help you convey messages, to help you say the right words and not get stuck up on what you need to say, you know what I mean? So that's what I did. That's who all has been here. But thank you all so much for being here. You all know the drill. Bracelets, Sublunar 20 for a discount. It's in the description. If you're interested in services, readings, books, however, you can hit the description as well as if you want books. I recommend getting the books. If you need any help or confusion for learning things, I put a lot of helpful information in the books. I talk about things like, and I don't talk about them in really expansive ways, but I have examples and stuff of them too. So if you are looking for like books to get, you know, they're like $5. No, 15, right? I don't remember what my prices are. I really don't. I have to go back and check from time to time because it's just something I'm not really concerned myself with that much. But if you're interested in getting some new knowledge, that's the best way to, let me tell you, because a lot of questions will be answered from them. But regardless, thank you all so much for being here, for the likes, comments, shares, subscribes, donations, whether they're energetic or financial. I'm just here to love you all, to help you all grow, heal, and evolve, and to take you all through the journey of the age of Aquarius, because it's time to grow and learn, and we're going to be learning about a lot of things. A lot more than just the self. We're going to be diving into history, of the world, the actual history, and not the history that is told by Uncle Sam, because fuck Uncle Sam. He did nothing but ruin everything for a lot of people. Simply told, that is the truth. If y'all know, y'all know. If you don't, you will soon. But I love you all so much, to the moon and back, tenfold and forever. Take notes. If you need to watch this again, watch it again. Take notes, digest this information. It's a lot, I know, but if you take time and really meditate on this, you will really start seeing things in a different light, and it will literally like save you from so many conundrums. You don't need to like buy fucking $1,000 courses to know this shit. I'm telling it to you for free so that you can free yourself from the matrix of needing to spend money to get an outcome that's desirable for you, right? But I love you all so much, to the moon and back, tenfold and forever. And I will see you later.